very, very bright, confident young fighter, have we not?
Yeah.
In Dalton Smith. You think he'll go all the way? In 18 months, he thinks he could have Dalton Smith world champ?
Yeah, if they can make the fights. I think people will not want to fight Dalton because, like Spencer often says, he's the president of the Who Needs Him Club because he is at that level now where he's someone to avoid.
Yeah. Yeah. You love your boxing, Troy. Comes over, doesn't it?
Yeah, I do like my boxing. I'm going on Sunday, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm working here first and then going straight across, yeah.
And who's your pick? Fraser Clark? Or
I know
Fabio
Fraser,
Wardley?
so it's hard when you know somebody. So yeah, I have to go with Fraser. But it's a good fight though. I think it's a really, really good scrap, and I'm looking forward to
some
it.
good fights on the undercard.
Yeah,
as well.
really
Florian
good.
Marco.
Yeah.
Troy, as you know, we do a lot of boxing on the show. Well, not literally, but it's been close. Conor Benn, Simon. I'm wondering this lunchtime. Where are we now? Wednesday lunchtime. I wonder how this will change, if it will change. Is he further away from fighting on British soil than ever before? The reason I ask, it's been reported, and we've been on to Robert Smith at the British Boxing Board of Control. He's in a meeting, but that's not to say he's ducking, as he normally would join us. So we'll keep at it. But it's been reported that UK Anti-Doping and the British Boxing Board of Control have won their appeal against the verdict to lift Conor Benn's suspension. In other words, the suspension for Conor to fight in this country stays. It remains unclear if his suspension is going to be reimposed. So it's a bit guesswork at the moment. What is next in this long-running saga?
Well, look, he's not further away. He's just no nearer.
Yeah.
And what would be the point of launching an appeal, which UCAD launched? It was UCAD that wanted to appeal the outcome. What would be the point of doing it if you intend to do nothing with it? Because the position was very simple. UCAD is the governing authority for anti-doping in this country, and what Conor and his team managed to achieve was an argument about jurisdiction as to whether the UCAD jurisdiction applied to Conor Benn in the circumstances for the failed drugs test that Conor had with VADA testing. And the adjudication, which was done by the Sporting Resolution Committee, came out in favour of a jurisdiction argument. It was nothing to do with medical arguments. Interesting, we're not hearing a lot from Eddie Hearn about this, because we normally hear quite a lot from Eddie Hearn. None of it's been particularly helpful, I might add, to Conor Benn's position. But notwithstanding that, we normally hear quite a lot. And in this situation, now what you've got is a circumstance where the WBC, as you will recall, rather than deal with a ranked fighter, they gave him a defence. And that was ridiculous. And then Conor was brought in front of a tribunal in terms of a panel that was put together with the British Boxing Board of Control to face the charges that they wanted him to face, strict liability. And he overcame it. And he overcame it on the basis of jurisdiction. And despite all the background noise, with all due respect, I like Conor. You know, I had a drink with him at Christmas and had a long conversation with him about the circumstances. But this is not really the issue, whether I like him or not. The issue is whether Conor has got past strict liability. And right now, he's being made to face it again. Now, what it means in the broadest of terms is Conor Benn has fought in recent times because the suspension has been lifted. There's no indication at this moment in time that the British Boxing Board of Control, in association with UCAD, are going to reinsert that suspension. But what would have been the point to have got an appeal in the first place, to have heard one? That means that Conor potentially may be able to fight abroad. But he won't be able to fight abroad against British fighters that have got licences.
Yeah.
He won't be able to spar British fighters that have got licences. He won't be able to work with British trainers that have got licences under British Boxing Board of Control, because unless he deals with what the British Boxing Board of Control and UCAD want him to deal with next, if indeed they want him to deal with anything, he won't be able to fight. And now people can scream and shout and turn around and say restriction of trade, and that's what will probably come out of Eddie's mouth at some point. But the reality of it is, it's been a transparent situation which you could have dealt with at any given time.
Yes.
Stand in front of the board. You can tear your licence up if you want to, and you can do all the things that you want. But we sat here with people that represented Conor that were unequivocal in the fact they've got medical evidence to support the reasons why metabolites manifesting itself in his system could have only have come from food ingestion, and we can prove that. We'll run that argument then.
Run that argument. Yeah, show us, run it. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that the British Boxing, and then they'll make the argument, and the argument is, why are they going after Conor so religiously? Why are they going after him so relentlessly? Why are they treating him in a different way? Didn't they do this with Nigel Benn? Isn't this a vendetta? Well, this could have been handled so much better. Even by Conor's own admission, he knows he shouldn't have gone on Piers Morgan's show. He knows that was a car crash. The lawyers that took him into a certain position, they haven't helped him. They've taken huge amounts of money off him. They haven't helped him.
Yeah.
And I don't think Eddie's helped him either.
So he's just going to, for the foreseeable future, Simon, he's just going to carry on fighting outside the UK.
Well, it depends who you want to fight him against. Now, I'll think about that as well. If you're the British Boxing Board of Control and you're a major licensing body, so do you really want to be one of the commissions that starts to license fights to a British fighter and spits in the eye of the British Boxing Board of Control? Do you want to be an outlier? Do you want people to have a rogue state here where Conor is not in good standing in British boxing, says, okay, fine, up yours, you've got a vendetta against me, I'll fight somewhere else, and he gets sanctioned by commissions like Florida that will sanction whoever they want? Do the Saudis want to sanction these sort of things? Because really and truly, the boxing world wants to have a proper grown-up relationship. A situation here is not looking right. Conor has told us repeatedly, as has his advisors, that the medical evidence that they've got will okay, fill your boots.
Show it.
Let's do it. And then everybody can sit there and go, you know what, we can understand the circumstances. They've also got to clear up the situation with Dillian Whyte. I mean, Dillian Whyte's seeming to have been cleared by finding that there was contamination in the vitamins that he took, yet fights in Dublin.
Sure. So at the moment, it's kind of standstill. 3 steps forward, 2 back. UK Anti-Doping and the British Boxing Board of Control have won their appeal against the verdict to lift Conor Benn's suspension. So Conor at the moment is kind of in no man's land. The decision was challenged by the British Boxing Board of Control and UKAD. They've won the case, but it remains unclear if Benn's suspension will be reimposed. We've asked Robert Smith, will it be? We're still waiting for an answer. If we don't get anything before 1, you can rest assured we'll pursue this tomorrow when we talk boxing further.